So take a look at the Mishnah on Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. All right. Someone we're going to read? Go for it. 1 second. Next. So Niktam is the top of it's cut off.
Niktam, where the top of it's cut off. Niktam where the top is cut off. Nifritzu Alea.
What's Nifritzu Alea mean?
Like trim?
No, Nifritzu Alea. Picture. Come on, Nifritzu Alea. What's in this?
Oh, like less, like there are.
Right. Not so many leaves. Not so many leaves. Big machlokas about whether rove or according to the Baal Itor, if as long as you have one leaf, you say. But other shittas say no. You really want to have majority. The Baal Itor, yeah. We get Kamusha.
Oh, Kamusha.
Which is what? You don't know. V'nishinishu mixas alea, which means what?
Dry, like most of it's dry.
Oh, good. Okay, but what kind of dry? So this is critical. Kamusha is like this. If you take a look at this picture here.
It's withered.
What? Right, withered, but it's still green. In other words, there was a guy this morning asking me that Shadlan Shul. See, all his leaves were green, but they were crinkly. All right, so that's still okay. It's not a chachila, but still okay. If they get brown and crinkly, that's what is considered yavesh. So yavesh is defined by brown. What's sheer brown? No, Chazal, they didn't bring down exactly how much. Point is that there's a nice picture of it. That's kamusha, and that is yavesh.
How many leaves do you need?
So that's a machlokas. So according to one shita, as long as you have one leaf, you'd be okay.
Really?
Yeah, that's a makeable position. Nishu ksasa lea means if some of the leaves are off, okay, and then you have something called the Arava of Baal. What's the Arava of Baal? No one made the joke. I guess not. What kind of joke you'd make? What? Actually, Safsafa min Arava the Allah Shala Eagle. So like the picture says. In other words, it's a type of willow, but it's a round shape. Okay. Now what's Baal? So Rashi means Gedila Bisada Shalo Ala Nachal. Right. So what does the pasuk say? Come on. What does the pasuk say? The Arve. It's coming up in the Gemara. The Arve Nachal. It says Arve Nachal. Right. So you would think what? You would think that Aravos are only kosher if they're grown by the river. So the Mishnah is telling you that no, if Aravos are grown spontaneously in a field, we'll see what samanam they require. But as long as they're grown, then that's okay. I mean, most Aravos today, Arve Nachal, Aravos that grow where?
Aravos that grow by the river.
By the river. Okay, so that's one shot. Okay, Davar Acher.
Arve Nachal she'ala shalom
Mashach Nachal. Okay, what's the other pshat?
The Aravos are by the Nachal, but they're not like consumed by the river.
No. So they look. It's a little tricky. All right, there's a great picture in here of it. So there's two possibilities in the Gemara. The Gemara says, "What's Arbi Nachal mean? Does Arbi Nachal mean Aravos that grow by the river?" So I have a picture in here of that. In here, you'll see the other ones in here. It's on Kuf Chav Vav. They have a nice picture in here somewhere of Aravos that actually are growing in the Nachal. That's what it actually means. Versus, what do you call it? The other way of learning, which is that the Arava has to be Mashach Kinachal. What does that mean? Want to take a shot at that?
Close to the river. Like close to the river.
Oh, one second. Okay, so 1 second. So very good. So I'll show you the picture. This is Aravos that grow in a Nachal because they're actually in a Nachal. All right.
Right.
Okay. The other possibility is that it's Mashach Kinachal. So if you look at this picture here, so what is that telling you? You got to think into it a little bit. This is what a leaf looks like, but this is Mashach Kinachal.
That being near a river would change the way it grows.
Question you have to ask in this Gemara.
What's the best?
Well, okay. What do you mean? What's
better?
What's better?
To have the one that it grows in the river, or the one?
Oh, okay. So, but yet it's funny. The Gemara.
You assume that it grows in the river.
What's the machlokas? Right. What's the machlokas? In other words, it seems like, and it's a funny machlokas. It's not a machlokas like. I don't think it's exactly. But I don't think it's a mutually exclusive machlokas. I just think that they're trying to figure out how to darshan out from the Torah. So what's the machlokas? What's the machlokas? What's the svara? Well, we understand the facts. Tani idach arbi nachal ainli ela arbi nachal shabal shahar minayin tamalomar arbi nachal mikol makam. All right, so that's an important line to understand. The Mishnah openly says you don't have to use arbi nachal; you can use other ravos. So the Gemara knows that, right? So when the Gemara learns that arbi nachal, it's teaching you that aravos, right? The Torah tells you arbi nachal, meaning arbi nachal, but Aravos. So the fact that it's plural means you don't have to just use the Aravos to go nachal.
That's the most
No, I hear what you're saying, but I'd respond to this. I say, so the Torah is telling you. Hold on, the Torah is telling you a hitter. That's just telling you that a hitter. And by the way, be consistent. You're saying you don't know. Be consistent. You're saying kapos and da. All those things refer to shape, right? So now you tell me that, but you won't tell me anything else in the pasuk refers to hitter.
Wait,
right? Hadas is referred to header. The Gemara has a darshan out. The Torah tells you Arvi Nachal. Okay, so the Gemara is telling you something very important. It's saying when it comes to trying to figure out these minim, right? So what do they have to do? So there's two ways you can identify a plant. Okay, one way is its habitat, the other way is the way it looks. Those are the two methods. It's not a mutually exclusive thing, it's just saying there's two ways you can arrive at the conclusion of what it is. Two ways you can identify a species. One way is where its habitat is. But that's the whole point. But why is Arve Nachal better? What's the hitter? It's not a hitter because it looks more beautiful.
Hitter does both.
No, forget that. And there was the mitzvah and the mufkar is because the paradigm is the Arve Nachal. That's where, now it doesn't mean the only Arve of what an Arava should be.
It's the Arve Nachal.
In other words, when you search, just listen. No, forget the both. When I go searching for an Aravos, okay, I open up my Gemara. I got to find an Aravos. So what do? So what the Torah tells you is go to the river, go look at the Aravos that grow by the river, and you use that as your guide to determine other Aravos and how you can use them. Because you have to look at that one and you start from there.
Aesthetically speaking.
Halachically speaking, but yeah. That species.
When you go look there, what are you looking for?
You see
what they look like.
Yeah, you see what they look. Because I've never seen a Rava before. So how do I know where to look for an Rava? I have no idea where to look. Oh, Arve Nachal. Oh, that's the paradigm. I use that as my basis for determining other Ravos.
We're not using it.
The Gemara then says, okay, but 1 second. So we know Arve, since Arve is plural. So what does that come to tell you? It's not just Nachal, but it also means harem or other locations. Okay.
Well, according to that,
Well, hold on. Okay, but this is a segue. So Abba Shaul says no. He says Arve, it is plural, but something else. Shtayim, right? Two, meaning what? Achas lululav, achas hamikdash. So it's teaching you, the fact that it says Arve is telling you there's an Arava of lulav and a Rava of mikdash. All right. What's a Rava mikdash? What's a Rava's mikdash?
Hoshana.
Okay, so they did separate Hoshanas in the base of mikdash for the Ravos. Okay. And then what did Rabbanan do with that? So what about Rabbanan? How about Rabbanan? Were they going to deny the fact that there's an idea of a Rava by Mikdash? So Gemara says no. Rabbanan leMikdash minalahu. So Hilchos Gamarilahu, which Rashi explains is Halachah Moshe Sinai, as we know is Halachah Moshe Sinai, and then the Gemara explains what Halachah Moshe Sinai is, but it's Halachah Moshe Sinai that there's another Arava that we use in the base of Mikdash.
They both agree with too?
Yeah, they both agree it's two. But the question is, but here's a big problem. So why is Abba Shaul learning specifically Arve must mean two? Rabbanan don't need a darshan out from the Torah. They say, listen, we have Halachah Moshe Sinai. But Abba Shaul says that's not, he knows it's Halachah Moshe Sinai, but he knows it's not satisfactory. He wants more. He wants to say, Arve tells you.
Doesn't he say Arve here? Arve means what? They both what?
Let me speak it out. Hold on. So when Max is saying like this, Max is saying, what would you have thought? Very simple. You have thought, okay, everyone agrees there's two mitzvahs, a mitzvah of Rava by Dal Minim, and there's a mitzvah of Rava by the Mesa Mikdash. So what can I do? So I say I have my Dal Minim. What do? I shake my lulav during the day.
Pull it out.
Or I pull it out, go to the Mesa Mikdash. Right? Because all I'm doing is I'm just redefining the chafsa to be used from A to B. So, but what's it telling you? And this is what's amazing about a Rava. This is an amazing idea, and it's a raya by Hoshana Rava. Okay, it's a raya. It's more than that. What it's telling you is that the Arava of the Dal Minim, the Arava Dal Minim becomes subsumed as part of the four Minim. There's a very interesting idea about Arba Minim, that when they come together, what do we call the Arba Minim when they come together, by the way? No, lulav. So it's called a lulav, which is always interesting, which shows you the lulav is the dominant one. But anyway, it's always called lulav. But what's the idea the Gemara is trying to express by calling it lulav? Because it's telling you that all the minim lose their independence. They become exactly. But so it's very nice what Abba Shaul is telling you. Abba Shaul is telling you is that you had to have this drush. Why? To tell you that it's not that you could take an Arava and designate it for use A and use B. No, they're two different chavtzaos. And what makes them different chavtzaos? One becomes subsumed as part of the Dalminium, whereas the other one is an independent Arava. What's the raya for that, by the way? What's the perfect raya? Hoshana Rava. Hoshana Rava is a halacha. You're supposed to do a separate netila on Aravos. A separate netila. Whereas you have your normal netilas lulav, which is dalminim, and then what do? You go ahead and you take a separate netila, a separate picking up, and according to Shamshit is nanuim, shaking of the aravos.
But not smashing on the ground.
That's a separate thing. That we did. By the way, now let's say it makes a lot of sense to say that. But however, you could argue, which is also brought down, that on Hoshana Rabbah you could use the aravos of the dalminim for what do you call point. The first Gemara is dealing with how to darshan out from the Torah, but now we have something different. But that doesn't tell us how to identify ultimately in halacha what an Arava is. So what are they going to use to identify the Arava? You're going to use a contrast. They're going to contrast it to this guy. They're going to take two willow type species and they're going to contrast one to the other. All right, so if you take a look, the Gemara says Tan Rabbanan. It's like halfway down Lamed Al Aleph. Ezehu Arava, Ezehu Tzafsafa. So what's an Arava and what's a Tzafsafa? The Gemara doesn't know. Now comes the halachic semanim. Okay, so the Gemara says, Arava, Kana Shala Edom, so its stem is red, the Allah Shala Mashuch, right, and its leaves are shaped like a nachal, okay, Upia Chalak. What's Pia Chalak mean?
His mouth or.
So now the Gemara says, okay, what's a safsafa? The ezut safsafa.
Oh, actually the side, so not the face, the actual like.
Yeah, hold on. So what's safsafa? Kanishal lavan. So its branches white, its leaves are round, and here's a tough one. Its outer surface is like a magal. Anyone want to take a shot what a magal is?
Yeah, it's like a Hershey kiss.
Magal?
Serrated.
No.
Serrated.
You're on the right track. No, not quite serrated. Not quite. What's that called?
It comes at the
Tanya, domel magal kasher, domel masar pasul.
What's mine?
What?
What is a mago again?
Magal means the outer edge has like these serrations in it, but like this, like a sickle, a scythe.
Ooh.
Okay,
Nice.
could be a sickle also, but like this. Okay.
So it looks like the outside.
No. You'll see what the outside looks like. You'll see in a second. It's not that it looks like this, but the edges have the same edges as this had. And what's unique about the edges of this versus what this is? What's this called?
serrated.
Saw. So the Gemara says but we know the halacha is that if it's like a magal, if the outer edge is like a magal, it's okay. But if the outer edge is like a masar, which is a saw, it's a problem. Okay. Well, 1 second. Now, so what's the difference? My nafkamina. What's the difference? What's the difference between forget aesthetic for a second. What's the difference between the two? Let's see if you guys can figure it out. What's the difference? The difference between a magal and a masar is like this. A magal there's one cutting edge, and a masar has two. No, two. If you look at it carefully, if you look really carefully, this is a perfect example, by the way. This picture here is domel masar. Okay, two edges. They can cut you this way or this way.
I don't know.
And that's why it's like the saw?
Yeah.
Because it cuts you.
Gemara's answer is there's something called the chilfa gila. So there's a species of Arava. It's the exception species. I hate that word, but it's the exception species. It's a species of Arava that actually grows in a way where it is serrated like a magal. Okay? But it's not. It's a willow. It's just the only Arava that exists. Now, how do they know that?
Aravas are
In Paragraph Zayin Lachadal in Lulav, he says there's a different species. Domel Arava. I'm sorry. That's a sasafa. He says. Where is it? He says this. He says V'yesh shame min Arava. Okay, it's hard to know what he means by that, but there's some. It has the shame species Arava. Okay, she'ein pia Allah shala chalak, where its outer edge is not smooth. Okay, ve'enu kamasar, but it's not like a saw. Now we'll get into this in a second. Elo yesh bo tulamim katanim ad me'od. So it has a lot of very little tiny ridges on it. Okay, kmo pi magal katan b'zeh kashem. V'chol dvar ma'ilu. Okay, he says mipia shmo mi Moshe Rabbeinu nisfarshu. So the Rambam wants to say that how do you know that this species is the exception? Whenever in doubt, lachol Moshe Sinai. In other words, they knew all along that every Arava was X, except there's going to be one species you'll come across that one's okay. Okay?
Yeah.
Now I don't want to take up that issue. That's a whole issue in itself. Okay? Gemara is telling you that Pi Chalak seems to be the barometer. Then it comes along and says, does the Chilfa Gila, does that violate Pi Chalak?
A little bit English on my memory.
Does that special species of Arava that happens to be serrated like a Magal, but not like a Masar, in other words, it has one edge and not two, does that violate the notion of Pi Chalak? Meaning smooth.
You could go two different
But it's not smooth. Okay, Beis Yosef picks up on this. The Rambam's not so clear. Rashi seems to learn that the difference between a magal and a masar is the blade, meaning that a magal has a blade in one direction, it's one cutting edge. The masar is two. So when you look for that appearance, then we don't want the leaves to cut you, but that's what you're looking for appearance-wise. Okay. So
What are you saying?
it's a double edge. It's a double knife. In other words, it cuts this way and it cuts this way.
Yeah.
I mean going in and out, in and out.
What does that leaf look like?
Smooth.
Let's go in order. First, the Gemara says there's three simanim for a rava. One of them being the leaves be smooth.
Okay.
That's a rava A. And let's say for now, 95% of ravos are like that.
Right.
Now, then you have this weirdo type of a rava that does have a serrated edge. It's not picholok. I mean, it doesn't seem to be picholok, but its serrations are one way. So like a scythe. The third type of issue is if it's like a masar, which would be a saw, which would be double sided, and that everyone agrees is bad. So if you find a leaf,
What was the steer?
the Rambam learns different. The Rambam learns what is this special type of rubber have? It has the same type of blades as a saw, just much smaller. He says they call it tlanim katanim. That's what he says. He says they're tlanim. Well, I don't want to get the word right. He says tlanim katanim. So he said, and there's a lot of these little tiny ones. But if it has big like these, if it's like this big, it's a problem. I know what the shear is.
Right,
But if it's small,
this much.
right? But if it's this much, then it's not a problem. So he's got a different differentiation. The Rambam doesn't differentiate. The Beis Yosef picks up on this. The Rambam doesn't differentiate between the cutting blade. He differentiates between between whether it's smooth. Exactly. So
But
what's the
it's
difference?
still look-
What's that
We
machlokas?
answered
What's the
the
difference?
first question, or we-
You would think that smooth means it's just like you said, it's non-serrated. Okay, but no, clearly, what does smooth here mean? It means that it just can't be defined as being sharp. Okay, now the question is, just be clear, what does sharp mean? Now the question is, now you have Rambam versus Rashi. You understand? So then you can have a differentiation of magal mas. You can have that, but you have to make one simple logical step. It's not a positive idea in smooth. It just simply means it can't be sharp or sharp. It can't be sharp. Now the question is, what does not being sharp mean? Now you're Rambam versus Rashi. Okay. But Rashi is going to say that when is defined as sharp if it cuts both ways. But what's he looking for then? You're right. I agree. What's he looking for? You're right.
It's gotta be the effect. It can't be low.
So just to review. So the first step you have to take is the first. Yeah, it is. The first step you have to take is that pichalok doesn't mean smooth. It just means it's not sharp. Now, but not in appearance, not in how it feels. Now the question is, how do you define it not being not sharp? So he's a machlokas. So Rashi wants to say, at the end of the day, both Rambam and Rashi are going to agree, which I agree with what Mick is saying. At the end of the day, they're going to both have to agree that when it's defined as sharp, it means it's a different surah. Not that it can cut me, a different shape, it's not the same leaf anymore. The only question is it the different shape that does it, meaning this double edge is a different shape than a single edge? Or no, according to Rambam, I'm saying it's din in shear, there's a certain amount a certain size that changes the shape. Now the only question is that an objective shear or subjective shear? I'm not sure. I'm not clear about that, but I do know one thing, which you have to agree with, which is that at a certain point, these serrated edges are so big, and now it's a different kind of leaf.
We'll